It's Joshua 2023. Joined with you guys by Michael Cargill. If you guys not familiar with him, he's been a huge advocate in the firearm industry. He owns Central Texas Firearms.
Central Texas Gunworks.
Central Texas Gunworks. And you're in an interesting situation right now. Right now, you're challenging the government.
That's right.
It seems like everyone in Texas, I know, is challenging the government federally. You gotta do it for fun. I wanted to bring you on. I want you to talk about your current situation and talk about the importance and go from there.
Yeah, my name is Michael Cargill, owner of Central Texas Gunworks, which is a gun store in Austin, Texas. We're, FFL, Federal Firearms License Dealer. So we sell guns, do transfers, all that kind of stuff, and do a lot of training. I like to focus on the training aspects of it. License to carry handgun courses, private security courses, and beginner and firearm safety courses. I brought this bump stock lawsuit because I was really angry that the fact that I had some bump stocks and that the ATF said that they can walk into my house, ban them, or I need to turn them in. If I didn't, then they're gonna or destroy it, or they'll turn me into a felon.
Without compensation.
Overnight. No compensation, no nada. Turn it in, destroy it, or you're a felon overnight. And so, I was upset by that, and I was floored by that. And this happened under the Trump administration. And so I was really angry, and so I went searching for an attorney to see what I could do. What were my options? How can we fight this? Because I didn't want to go to jail, because you're no good for anyone if you're arrested or charged in a criminal case.
Right.
So I didn't want to go that route at all. So we want to go be the proactive, rather than on the defensive. So I found an attorney, did some little background on them, and it turned out that they had some cases where they've gone to the Supreme Court before. They're not gun attorneys at all, so they never done a firearms case, but they're good attorneys that actually have tried a case, sent a case to the Supreme Court. So we got together. They were looking for a client, as funny as that is. And so I was looking for them. They were looking for me, and I'm trying to sell myself to them. Turned out I didn't have to sell myself because they were looking for a client anyway. And I like to tell people, and then we got married.
Okay.
So it went from there. So we went forward. We filed this lawsuit in March of 2018, and I walked into the ATF's office in Austin, Texas, and handed over my bump stocks. Told them to hold on to them because we filed a lawsuit, and these were evidence in this case. So they currently are holding on to the bump stocks in their vault. Once the case is done, I expect to get them back. I can't wait to walk into their office and get my bump stocks back. I like to put them on a rifle before I walk outside the door. So that's going to be my goal. I'm glad we filed this case because it's not about the different battles that you're going to lose. We lose battles all the time. It's about what's going to happen at the end, the war. And so we went to the first court. We went to federal court, had our day in court in 2020 during COVID. Everything shut down. It was the first and only case that I know of. We're definitely the first case that was in federal court in 2020, after post-COVID.
Right.
And so we went to court. The judge wanted to have it in court. Everyone showed up. I was there as well. I wanted to, listen to oral arguments and all that stuff. And I listened to the judge in this case, and he kind of compared the bump stock and firing the bump stock to like a shotgun. Yeah, and I was like, nah, he's not getting this.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand what the definition of a machine gun is at all, because a shotgun's definitely not a machine gun. So we need to push this case forward. We got in front of some justices here that were actually understood firearms and how firearms work, and understood the trigger and how important the trigger is, and how many rounds are fired when you pull the trigger. If you hold the trigger and it shoots more than one round, then that's going to be a machine gun.
Absolutely.
But each pull of the trigger, only one round fires, then that's going to be a semi-automatic. And so that was what this case, started out to be, about the trigger. How many rounds are fired when you pull the trigger? We continue on we appealed to the next court. This case went to the Fifth Circuit. And the Fifth Circuit, it was heard in front of 3 judges. You do a 3-judge panel. So there are actually, the majority of the judges in this court, which are like 16 judges in this court, the majority of them were appointed by conservative presidents. There are about, I think, 5 judges that were appointed by Democrat presidents. So for the 3-judge panel, what do you think the makeup of the court was for that three-judge panel?
Hopefully conservative.
Nope, they were all. So we threw 3 Democrat judges who were, not fans of guns at all.
Because you're thinking Fifth Circuit, what,
Majority
Louisiana?
of.
Yeah, the southern
Right.
states,
Nope, 3 Democrat-appointed judges, and so they heard this case and sided against us. It was funny because they agreed to the fact that the ATF couldn't create law, didn't write law, but they still sided against me, and so we lost that case.
Okay.
So we appealed again. It went back to the Fifth Circuit, and it was heard en banc, meaning that it was going to will be heard in front of all the judges. So it should have been 16 judges, but one was not present, so it ended up being 15 judges on the panel. And so we had that case. That court date was September the 13th of 2022. We had the hearing. A lot of great questions from the judges on the panel, and because of their questions, I was confident that we were going to win this case.
Absolutely.
We had to wait for the hearing, wait for the ruling. So that September, we had to wait until January the 6th, no less. January the 6th
of this
of 2023 is when we got the ruling, and it was 13-3, pretty much, a sweep there in my favor. And they gave us a definition of what a machine gun was. You pull the trigger and hold the trigger, more than one round fires, then that's going to be a machine gun. And then also they talked about Chevron difference. They talked about pretty much when there's a confusion, there's an issue in what the law is, then it should be sided with the citizen, not the government.
Okay.
So then we talked about the ATF not being able to regulate law. They're not they can't create law, I should say. So they're not an agency that actually creates law. We have a certain body of government, the way our makeup is.
Yeah.
And we've heard that Schoolhouse Rock song, how a bill becomes law.
Right.
So the bill goes to the committee, they vote on the committee, comes out, goes to the House, goes to the Senate, then it goes to the president, president signs it, it becomes law. That's how a bill becomes law, not because the ATF creates law.
Absolutely.
And so at this point, this case turned into something bigger. It turned into not just about guns. It turned into, now we're talking about, it could be the EPA, it could be OSHA, it could be any agency within our federal government decided they're going to ban something. Let's take OSHA, for example. And let's say OSHA decides that they're actually going to ban high heel shoes. Well, guess what? Because they figured that high heel shoes are actually bad for ladies' backs or something like that. Right. So they decide they're going to ban them.
Killing turtles, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're saying, no, you can't do that. So that's what this is about. It's about all federal agencies and saying, hey, you cannot, you can't create law.
Essentially defines, this is the key point because it sets that precedent.
Right.
It clearly defines who can do what can do, and give the rules to move forward.
So this is going to set legal precedents. It's going to be case law, and it's like the Bruin case. The case that moved forward, Bruin is set case law. Everyone's going to quote Bruin, when they're moving and using it as an example to win their case. So now, as we move forward, we're going to talk about Bruin. We're also going to talk about Cargill v. Garland. And so I think this is going to be great, especially when it gets to the Supreme Court. I'm excited about making case law. And there's no one else involved in this lawsuit. There's no organization that's standing beside me, or I'm standing behind and hiding, or backing me. There's no group or anything like that. It's just Michael Cargill versus the Department of Justice and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. And this is not my first lawsuit. I've had lawsuits where I've gone against the city of Austin in Austin, Texas, and beat them in district court. We have other lawsuits that we have going against the ATF right now because I'm a federal firearms license dealer. If the ATF decides that, they're going to come and mess with me, we decide to play chess, not checkers. And so we filed another lawsuit saying that pretty much ATF decided they're trying to shut down federal firearms license dealers off of making paperwork errors in the gun store. So when you walk in the gun store and you fill out the background check form, there's a box on there that says county, but people are making a mistake and they're putting country. And because of that, they're shutting down gun stores. So I said, well, what if they come and inspect me and find some errors and mistakes because I filed a lawsuit against them and I'm winning? They decided to shut me down. So we filed a lawsuit against them to stop them from coming after us, because we've had an inspection, we've made some errors, but we have not transferred a firearm to someone illegal. And that's the key. And so we decided to file a lawsuit against them, protecting all federal firearms license dealers in the country, not just me. and we're defending federal firearms license dealers, we're defending gun owners for all of these lawsuits. And people need to, come aboard. They need to come on, to our side, because this case is going to be the case that protects triggers. This case is going to be the case that protects the brakes.
The brake, yeah.
Exactly. And
Magazines.
so anything that the ATF decides they want to come after, this is going to be the case that shuts them down. It's Cargill versus Garland.
It's unfortunate. It's been 2-3 years now that you've been
almost 5 years.
You've been with this case back and forth.
Almost 5 years.
No support. I think it's great. I did you stop me to have this interview because I want to expose this story to others and see. It's perfect timing that it relates to other accessories that people have spent the past 10 years, I would say, purchasing, and now all of a sudden you have less than 2 months to turn them out or whatever with that. How can people come out to support you?
Go to michaelcargill.com, to our website, and you can find everything on the website. michaelcargill.com. Get to the gun store. You can get to, we have the different cases that we're working on.
Yep.
This is not just the only case, and you'll see all that stuff on the website, michaelcargill.com, and see all the social media links and everything.
And even support you monetarily through the Gifts and Go.
And even support us, with donations, because this is $1 million lawsuit, and there's no one else backing me. In this case, is going to be the case that protects all gun owners for the entire country. This will have ramifications for years to come. This is one of the most important Second Amendment cases of our lifetime. So now's the time to stand up. If you want to keep your reset trigger, if you want to keep your stock, this is the time to stand up and support us, because this lawsuit will protect you.
Thank you for your time, man.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
Yep.
Absolutely.